Jackie. See me, D, see me, D, see me. Yay, you see me. Okay, good. I've been sitting here watching you for a couple minutes. Sometimes my system takes a second to ramp. I'm so happy to see you. Welcome to Crystal Masters. I have been looking forward to this class for what seems like forever. In a way, it's nice that we were delayed, tool-wise, because we got to have 2 classes this month instead of 1. So I hope you enjoyed your bonus this month. How are you guys today? Hi, I'm kind of a stalker. I was like reading all the comments, and then Morgan's like, anybody want to dance? And I'm like, kind of do want to dance with you right now. Very nice to see you today. Who's new? We've had new people join, in the last month, so I would love to see anybody new. It's okay if you're not. I'm not new. I'm the opposite of new. But is anybody new? So Mal is new. Welcome in. Lori Ingraham. Hi. So good. Nathan's having a strange day. I hear you. Is it Sarai? What a beautiful name. Susan Owens and Angelia. What a beautiful name. Laura Elliott. I don't know how to pronounce your name in Russian, but I would love to know how to pronounce it. Please teach me. Look at that. Welcome to all the new folks. Catherine. I may miss 1 or 2 of you. And Pamela Scott's new. First one for Rachel Huddleston. Nice. So we are very happy to see you. It's Jackie's 2nd class. Yeah, I don't know. The older I get, the more Buddhist I get. In the sense that I really, the older I get, I do not feel, I try to come to everything in my life with the beginner's mind, I'm starting to work with a teacher again that I haven't worked with in about 8 or 9 years. And it's so nice because she's repeating a lot of things that she taught me back then. But I'm such a different person receiving them now that I literally start to cry because it's like, oh, I just wanted to hear her say that again. You know what I mean? So anyway, I hope that everything I tell you isn't a repeat, but if you ever do come to old wisdom from a new perspective, I'm such a different person than I was. This pre-Sage Goddess, really. So anyway, welcome in. I'm really, really happy that you're here. If you ever do hear me tell you something you already know, consider that what we call in shamanism a reinforcement, right? We believe in cyclical learning, those of us who follow a shamanic path. And so we believe that learning isn't linear, which, I'm trained as an educator. So we're trained as educators that everything's linear. A goes to B, goes to C, goes to D. But the reality is learning doesn't happen like that. Learning goes from A to F and then back to B. And then it goes from B to Z and back to A. And because we know that, especially about adult learners, right? It's like sometimes it takes hearing something a couple times before it really gets into your groundwater, where it becomes part of the essence of who you are. So tonight's class is an interesting mix. Tonight's class is a technique that I have created. These tools don't exist anywhere else. I didn't learn this technique from anyone else. I created what I'm sharing with you tonight, and I'm excited to share it with you. I'm going to incorporate a number of different tools tonight, and including extractor needle, because I'd like to go back and pick up some of your earlier tools, maybe that maybe we should talk about how to work with again in service of reintegrating your learning. And then some of you who weren't here at the beginning, that'll be nice, right? Because it'll give you a chance to catch up. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about tuning forks tonight. I'm sorry to tell you, I don't have any tuning forks at sagegoddess.com because they're all sold out. You can, of course, find tuning forks elsewhere in your travels and your journeys, but some of you have them. And again, I kind of like the idea that we come back to previous tools and bring them back into the fold, remind ourselves of how to integrate these into our practice. Does that sound good for you? The tools for tonight are 8 what are called buttons. They're little mini palm stones. These are the Crystal Masters tools for tonight. So they look like that. They should have come to you in a cute little velvet bag that looks like that. And I know some of you in the group had said that you had wished these were bigger. And so I do want to explain to you why these are what they are, and why I chose to give these to you this way. A regular size palm stone along the lines of this, we would not be able to use that to grid your hand. So I custom created these. These, for us at Sage Goddess, were custom made. So these are not, I don't want you to feel like, oh, these were small, I don't think I got my money's worth, or anything like that. Each one of these had to be custom cut from the rough, and I chose the rough. So that's why these took 3 months. It was a really long process. But I want you to know, if I was selling these at Sage Goddess, they would be $3 a piece on the website. So you basically got a $4 discount by getting them as the set. Does that make sense? Because they had to be custom cut. They were really expensive to do. But they are the tools for what I'm going to teach you tonight. So, and I've tried it, I want to tell you this, I've tried tonight's exercise with tumbled. I've tried tonight's exercise with chipstones. And it didn't go well. Okay? When I've tried this exercise with tumbled stones, the weighting is off. They're not thin and flat enough, so they fall off the hand. And that's not what you want when you're doing the work that I'm going to show you tonight. I've tried it with chipstones, and I have little hands. It's like they just fall all over the floor. Do you know what I mean? So I think after I teach you this modality tonight, you'll be like, oh, now I understand. If you haven't gotten yours yet, you need to let us know, because every set that was ordered is out of the building at Sage Goddess. We have shipped everything. And there were a couple of you left, and we overnighted your tools to you, and they were all on the west coast of California. So if anyone did not get your tools, you need to immediately let us know. If you ordered them in time, please let Alexis know, because we are not waiting on shipping for anything. Okay? I won't be able to help you with that right now because we're in the middle of class, but we will help you with it. I just want you to know we're not waiting on shipping. Does that make sense? Okay, and September's have gone out already. Isn't that exciting? India's back, starting to open. You guys probably know this, that India was closed because of COVID and then because of a monsoon. India is finally starting to open, and bless them, it has been, I have a lot of dear friends in India, and this has been the hardest year of their entire lives. So they rushed these out, and so you're starting to get your September tools. So I'm glad you're excited that some of you got your September before August, because we wanted to get these to you as quickly as possible. So anyway, I'm glad you're already enjoying September's tools, and then that's exactly right. So enjoy that. Yep, I'm so glad you're enjoying them. Okay, so let's talk about what we're doing tonight. I'm going to ring the bell to start our class. This is session 2 of Soul Shift, even though we're a little out of order because of our change in the schedule. Okay. I do want to tell you that we are going to be working with extractors, and some of you are new and were not here when we learned about that. We do have extractors on sagegoddess.com. We have rose quartz, ocean jasper, amethyst, and lapis. If you missed them when they were first there, we have them now. And some different wands and things. So what we did as a treat for you is we have created a one-time 20% off code for sagegoddess.com. If there's anything after tonight that you want to pick up for your collection, please do not share that code outside of Crystal Masters. We don't want the public to use it. Today, the daily sales code is 18% off, so you can use Crystal 20 anytime, one time between now and tomorrow at midnight. Okay? So if you didn't get an extractor when we had them before, plus this is the fairy godmother gift for tomorrow. Did you see this? I don't know if you guys see my daily lives. Some of you do. But anyway, that'll be my fairy godmother giveaway for tomorrow. So enjoy and good luck. And if you don't need anything, that's great too. I'm going to be working with my clear quartz extractor tonight. This was the first round we did, but we don't have clear quartz in stock right now. So, and I don't think we're ordering any more extractors for the year. I think once this batch is through, most of you who wanted one will probably have gotten one. So the code is Crystal20, CRYSTAL20. Very cool, isn't it? Yeah, so we have about 150 in ocean jasper. We have 100 left in rose quartz. We have about 100 left in amethyst, and about 200 left in lapis. And that's what we have at Sage Goddess for final quantity of extractors. So not quite enough for everybody in Crystal Masters to get one now, but I mean, for those of you who are new, there's certainly more than enough there for you. Okay, cool. And the tinctures, oh my God. Okay, I don't want to talk about stuff right now, but there's some good stuff there right now. So we are going to learn about your hands tonight. And if you're in Soul Shift, you've already gotten sort of part one of this conversation. You should have these two worksheets, okay? These are the worksheets that we provided to you in Crystal Masters this month. Normally we don't do worksheets like this. Usually worksheets are more for Soul Shift, but we wanted to give you, I like to read things. I like to have things written out. So you should have this image of the hand, which is going to guide our conversation tonight. And you can take notes on your image if you want, but Alexis is going to be taking notes for the class. So you do not have to take notes on what I'm saying unless you want to take your own notes. She'll be taking notes for you. Excuse me. And then this is a breakdown of all of the stones that you received and their metaphysical properties. And then I'm going to give you kind of what I call off the page, the stuff that isn't here. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, if you don't have the tools, just observe, Laura. And what I will tell you is you will probably, I hope, find a way to adapt what I teach you tonight and maybe use tools that you already have. Truly. Because what I'm going to teach you tonight is you may not use all of the stones all the time. And I'll kind of show you what I mean. It's hard to explain it to you now. And I will tell you, tools are fun, they're nice, they're great. I love them, obviously. I have tools, I sell tools, right? I collect tools from other shops too. You are the tool. You will always hear me say this. You are what drives the magic bus, right? Your intention, your focus, your desire, your energy, your you, right? And so if you don't have any tools at all, I think that will give you an experience of working with the subtle energies, absent, something that is consciously manipulating them. Does that make sense? Sarai said the doctor who's stitching her up is also listening to me. Hey, Doc. Thanks for taking good care of our girl. So the worksheets are in the classroom. Thank you for that, Karen Brown. I love that. So cool. That's the ultimate multitasking. Thank you for still being in class when you have so much other energies at play. Okay, so we'll get started. I want to talk first, kind of back to basics, if you don't mind, just because I don't want to assume a lot. I'd like to talk first about your hands, okay? And your hands energetically align to the different hemispheres of your brain, okay? So your right hand aligns to the left hemisphere of your brain, and your left hand aligns to the right hemisphere of your brain energetically. Okay, so, oh yeah, what happened to my lamp? It's not on. Sorry, I just noticed that and saw your comment. I'll have to check that when we're done. I miss it too now that you said something about it. Okay, so when you, the left hemisphere of the brain, right, is, even when you think about it in terms of organizing structures, right, it's objectivity, linearity. The right side of the brain is subjective, right, more creative, more holistic, right. The left side of the brain we consider more masculine. The right side of the brain we consider more feminine. Broadly speaking, right? Try not to make too many generalizations and stereotypes, but so your left, like I said, the left is the masculine, which means that is your right hand. And your right hand, what masculine energy does is it projects. Not to put too fine a point on it, but it inserts. Okay? You have to say these things because it's the only way to describe it to you. So the right hand inserts, projects, right? The left hand is the feminine, which receives. Does that make sense? So if you are And you certainly can have a more dominant side of the brain, right? And so, and some people get really confused because they go, well, what if I'm identify as a man, but I'm, right-handed? It's like this doesn't have anything to do with handedness. Handedness is not connected, at least as far as I've ever been trained and energetically speaking, is not connected to masculine, feminine at all. I'm right-handed and highly masculine, but I don't think that's because I'm right-handed, in other words. Does that make sense? I'm trying to be delicate, Sheila, but, sometimes people have their kids come and join us, so I try to be, aware. So anyway, this affects everything for me magically. I am constantly thinking in terms of projecting or receiving. And so when you wear jewelry on your left hand, that is what you are receiving, right? When you wear jewelry on your right hand, that is what you are projecting. So if I want to wear a ring, let's say, to help me lead others, that's a sunstone, for example, and I would wear that on my right hand because that's the projecting hand. That's what I'm putting out there in the world. I always have a sapphire on my left thumb, and that is because that's the fire finger, so that aligns to my primary element in my natal chart. And on the left hand, it allows me to receive that open channel to my wisdom. That's what sapphire is. It's a teaching stone, right? So this is really important. The reason I'm telling you about this is we're going to work with tonight's modality on both sides. And I really want you to feel in. Tonight's all about sensing and feeling. I'm going to smudge in just a second because the most important thing you can do for tonight, honestly, more important than even the tools, is to relax. When you're stressed, or if you've been feeling anxiety, which, pretty much the whole planet is right now, it's very hard to sense energy accurately. And this exercise I'm teaching you tonight is all about sensing. And I want you to start to discern which hand you prefer to work with for this exercise, right? How does it feel to wear sapphire? I almost don't know how not to wear sapphire. It's really interesting. In Vedic astrology, though, they do recommend that you have your chart run. It would be a weird rabbit hole to go down tonight, but they do recommend having your chart run before you wear sapphire because certain people are not meant to wear sapphire jewelry. I had my chart run and was approved for sapphire, but there are certain placements that determine whether sapphire is a workable stone for you or not. Woo. So just taking a nice deep breath there and beginning to drop in a little bit. One of my favorite ways to drop in, and we did an exercise with this in Soul Shift, is to really begin to notice your hips on the floor. If you're standing, noticing your feet on the floor. You can do this anytime, anywhere, even while you're driving. Just become aware of the bottoms of your feet and their connection to the surface beneath you. If you're seated and have female plumbing, a Kegel's really nice to just, again, as you tighten in and then release, it really drops you into that root chakra. So that helps. We can talk about Vedic astrology if you want. Do you want to do Gemstones of Astrology next year and learn about Vedic astrology in Crystal Masters? Wouldn't that be fun? I'm building the curriculum right now, so today's the day to say yes, if that's what you want. Be kind of fun, wouldn't it? I wrote, there's a whole chapter in my crystal history book on the crystals of astrology, but it's a compact little chapter. So okay, did you hear that, Alexis? Please let Claire know, because Claire and I have a spreadsheet going of Crystal Masters 2.0, organized by month. We've already laid out the stones and the topics and stuff, but we can move things around, because I would love to teach you the crystals of astrology, like the traditional, the alternative, and then which is Western astrology, right? And then to go into the Navaratna in Vedic astrology. It'd be so fun, wouldn't it? Pamela's like, let the experience decide. Well, somebody may not want it. They may be like, no, I'm good. I know all that, right? So anyway, if you ordered my book on my website, it should have been signed. So if it wasn't signed, let customer service know, and I'll send you another copy. the whole benefit. Otherwise, you can just get it on Amazon. So, anyway. I know, right? What would you use it for? What do you mean? That knowledge? I think it's helpful to know astrologically and elementally what stones align to what signs and what elements. It gives you, I mean, if you're working with gemstones, which ultimately, and especially as a crystal healer, one of the ways when you're working with clients, you want to find what I call touch points. You want to find ways to connect to their energy field on multiple levels of consciousness. And one of the ways you can do that is by using their name, saying their name out loud, which creates a touch point. And then another way you can do it is by incorporating their birthstone into the crystal healing. There's a tether there. Peridot is my birthstone, and I don't often wear it at all, actually. I still haven't found my perfect peridot ring. I've been on the hunt for it, but I've just never found one I've really connected to. Not really, really connected to. But when I do, I probably will wear it all the time because there is a connection there. So, yeah, your born name. Your born name has massive energy for you. It brings you into present time. Even if you don't like it. Some people don't like their born name. I have resented mine for a lot of years. I'm okay with it now. It makes more sense to me now. But anyway, yeah. So, but you know what we'll do is we'll cover traditional and we'll cover alternatives. I think that would be helpful. And that way, because I saw Sarah Halperin's comment that she's never been really connected to hers, but maybe she needs to connect to the alternative. Could be too. Sorry, I'm reading your comments, but it goes so fast sometimes. Okay. Did somebody say they wanted to learn more about the chakras? That could be interesting too. I wrote that book too, so we can incorporate all of that. So Lindsay, I am teaching you a modality today. If you're just coming in, let me remind you, these are the 2 worksheets for today. We are learning to work with your hands and to grid your hands to activate what we call the energy lines or destiny lines of your 4, what we call energy fingers, although technically you have 5 and they're aligned to the elements, as well as the 4 primary lines on your hands that govern the various levels of healing. So we're going to be using the palm stone set. There are 8 of these little mini palm stones, these little buttons. Each one of these connects to one of the planets or one of the lines on your hands, and we're going to be learning how to activate those energies. Okay. So we talked about, I wanted to begin by talking about sending and receiving energies because I think it's really important for you to know which, let me just make sure I saw all your questions and comments. So I just really wanted to make sure that you knew which hand was for receiving energy and which hand was for sending energy. Are there any questions about sending or receiving energy before I go on? Does that make sense? So let me quiz you then. If I want to send energy to someone, what hand am I going to place my stones on? If I want to do a remote crystal healing session for someone, am I going to use my right hand or am I going to use my left hand? Okay, good. And so that means by extension, if you're going to receive that healing, you're going to receive that healing through your left hand. So when you are doing this work at home for yourself, you are going to use your left hand. When you are doing this work for a client remotely, or you decide to, help your fur babies with some crystal healing, you're going to use your right hand. Okay. Now, I do consider this to be a form of energy work. So I'm going to open a circle for us. I took all my rings off because it just makes it easier. So rings sometimes can conduct your energy or they can challenge the energy. Gold is not as helpful for conducting as silver and copper. So I just took all of my rings off altogether except for the 3 on my thumb, which I never take off. Okay? It does not matter if you are right-handed or left-handed. Oh, I'm so glad. Okay, so we're going to begin. I want to just quickly call in the guides and guardians of the 4 directions. We're going to do a super brief, but because we are raising energy, I want to make sure we do that in a tight container. So I want to call in first the guides and the guardians of the Eastern Gateway, welcoming in energies of air, helping to bring clarity to the space, helping to open our minds this evening, helping us soften and relax, knowing that we're receiving exactly the information we need at exactly the right time. And then calling in the guides and the guardians of the South, energies of fire, transformation, helping us to experience deep healing, deep transformation, body, mind, and spirit. Calling in the guides and the guardians of the West. This is for emotional healing and purification, energies of flow, prosperity, and to the guides and guardians of the North, calling in energies of grounding, stability, protection, patience, and relaxation. All of that is very important for tonight. Om and Aho, and so it is. So we're going to start tonight's work, let me think, and we're doing both hands tonight. So I think we'll start tonight's work on the right hand, because a lot of you have asked to really focus on what you can do with clients now that it's really hard to do energy work in person. So I think we're going to start with the right hand. Are you guys excited? The chimes, the Sage Goddess chimes are coming. I'm so excited. I can't believe we were able to get those made. And in the 4 elements too. I don't have them yet, but they'll be there soon. Okay, so we're going to start with the right hand, and I'm going to remind you quickly, we're not going to go through the whole session about extractors again. You can always go back and watch that class again if you want more information. But I'm going to remind you about how to work with this tool. So we remember that the sharp end of your extractor is the activation end, and what we do with an extractor is we are moving in a circular motion clockwise, which activates what we call the meridians. In different practices, they're known as the key lines and the chi lines. And we do this as a way of, it's almost like opening a circle, but for the chakras in your hands. Okay, so we've opened a circle to delineate what energies are welcome into the work that we're doing and what energies have to wait outside. And so I usually start right at the top of my palm. You can start in the center too, and then move outward. And just in successive points, you want to move slowly around your palm. I love this so much. My whole body just like melts as soon as I start to do it. I usually go around 3 times, sometimes 4, it depends. And what's cool about it is you can start to feel even in areas where you are not pricking. You're not trying to draw blood here, you're just trying to activate the energy lines. But you can start to feel it in other parts of your hand, other parts of your fingers. So when you feel like you've gotten the full contact, which for me means a tingling palm, that hand is ready for energy work. So I want you to look at your fingers, since you don't have to take notes. As I walk through each of the fingers, I want you to really spend a little time tonight in relationship with your hands. You know, I've been teaching Soul Shift all month about their hands. We did an Aztec healing ceremony where I helped them release energy through their hands, which is a very traditional ceremony in ancient Aztec times before the Spanish conquisition. And so that's been our whole focus of what's been going on in Soul Shift. Conquest, not conquisition, sorry. Inquisition and conquest, I was thinking of 2 words at once. Okay, so I want to go through finger by finger, and like I said, these 4 fingers align to specific planets, and those planets all have their own meanings, their own energies, their own frequencies, and their own vibrations. They also have specific crystals that are aligned to them as well, okay? But each one of the fingers is also aligned to an element, so we're going to cover all 5 of those tonight. And then we're going to be talking about 4 lines across your hand. Your heart line, which is the top line across your hand. Your head line, which is the second line. And then we're going to be talking about your fate line, which runs right down the middle. And we're going to be talking about your lifeline, which goes down the side across by your thumb. So this is the chart that we're looking at. You see it right there? Okay, good. Okay. So I want to start with, I'm actually going to begin with your thumb, because we'll include it even though we're not focusing on it for a particular stone, but it is important because it represents the element of fire. You can do this on your feet, but primarily this work is done on your hands traditionally. I will say, as I taught you previously, your hands and your feet are both very important energetic centers in the body. They have their own chakras, and your body usually processes energy either through the top of your head, the palms of your hands, or the soles of your feet. So we'll begin with the thumb. It's interesting because that question, I think I might have answered your question in about simian lines in the Q&A, because did you ask that question before? We don't have time tonight to get into all the palmistry questions, but I think I may have already responded to your question in a recording, so hang tight, Raven, because that question came up before. Okay, your thumb aligns to the element of fire. Okay, and on each finger, in Soul Shift I know you know this, but I want to briefly cover it for Crystal Masters. On each finger, you can release energy by pulling energy away from your heart, and you can call in energy by pulling energy toward your heart. This is the indigenous practice that I was teaching my students that's based in an ancient Aztec healing ceremony. Okay, so we're not going to go into all of that because that was Soul Shift and we just did that together. But I'm going to tell you quickly what energies you can call in and what energies you can release using the alignments of each one of your fingers. On your thumb, when you pull energy away from your heart, on your thumb, you release worry and anxiety. And when you pull energy in, you call in strength and passion. Okay, so when you release worry and anxiety, and when you pull toward, you call in passion and strength. On your forefinger, what you release is fear, and poor self-esteem. So away from your heart, you're releasing fear and poor self-esteem. So if you find yourself afraid, you literally can just rub that energy through your finger, because it's running through a meridian line, okay? So again, away from your heart, releasing fear, releasing poor self-esteem. If your boss tells you didn't do a good job, right? If a student tells you they don't like your class or whatever, right? And then pulling toward you, you call in peace and confidence. So again, if you're in a meeting and you're like nervous about it, you can sit and pull in confidence energy towards your heart. And once I'm done teaching you this, I really want to talk about how to share this with other people, because this is something that you can just do at night subtly. I don't know about you, but I rub my kids' hands and shoulders at night. I will take lotion in sometimes and just give them a hand massage. And you can, if they're very worried, right, it's like release, 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 call in, just rub their thumb. They don't know what you're doing. They don't know that it's energy work, right? So it becomes a very subtle, nice addition to your Reiki practice, to your massage practice, to your whatever modality you're working with. With your forensic patients, it's very subtle energy work that we're doing. And again, if you're working with children and they have anxiety, you don't have to explain this, right? It just feels like a nice hand massage, but you're intentional, right? Okay, so Jupiter is the finger, this is the finger of air, right? Okay, and then your middle finger, I don't want to give you the middle finger, but that is that's your finger of spirit. This is your Saturn finger. You release anger and resentment through this finger. Saturn represents anger and resentment. So if you're really angry, and you can, again, I'm going to teach you tonight to try this on both hands, because you may feel more of a connection to it. If you're releasing anger at yourself, I could just kick myself for doing that. Or if you're releasing anger at someone else, right? Feels good. It feels even nicer with oil or lotion. Coconut oil is really nice for this, so I'm doing it on my hands with nothing, to soften it, but it really does make a nice massage. And then you call in wisdom and integrity. What Saturn represents, right? Wisdom integrity, strength of its own kind, right? Yeah, a balm would be nice for this. So yummy. Your ring finger is your earth finger, that's Apollo. And what you release here is grief. Yeah, so all that sadness in your heart, right? If you lost someone, or, a lot of us are just grieving the way the world used to be 6 months ago. That's enough grief, even if you haven't lost anyone. I've lost 2 people I know in the last 3 months, 2 months. That's been hard. Ooh, so good. And then calling in patience, because if you think about what Apollo represents, it's patience, but also success. And so feeling that energy coming into your system. And so if you're feeling like, I don't know if I'm good enough at this, or if you're questioning your own competence, yeah, we're working on the right hand right now, and then we'll switch sides. So just calling in that energy. And then your ring finger is your water finger. This is Mercury. So you release unworthiness here. You also release communication blockages here. So if you're feeling like, you're not able to get your message across, people aren't understanding you well, you're misunderstood, maybe Mercury retrograde's really got you going. I misspoke. Sorry guys, I just saw the comment about that. I called them all 4 planets, but they're not all 4 planets, obviously, right? So I refer to them as the planets because usually when you talk about palmistry, you talk about the fingers, you talk about the planetary correspondences, but certainly Apollo is not a planet, it's a god. Thank you for that. Thank you for reminding me and commenting a couple of times so I would state that clearly for you. Yeah, it feels good, doesn't it? Woo. And then calling in authentic expression, sovereignty is the way I think about it. So if you feel like, what's a good explanation for when this might be helpful? If you feel like you're not being heard, you know what I mean, or you're not being respected, so this is releasing blockages to expression and communication, releasing, right? Apollo does represent a planet, but not in a strict sense. So whoever asked the question was right to ask it for clarification. I think that's good. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's true. It is the representative of the sun, too. Okay. And then pulling in, what you're calling in there towards your heart is authentic expression, communication, sovereignty. Feels good, right? Yeah. It would be good, wouldn't it? Okay. So those are the, I won't call them the planets again, but those are the correspondences for the 4 primary fingers, although we include the 5th finger because it does have an elemental correspondence. Yeah, pinky finger is water, fire, air, spirit, earth, water. Does that make sense? No, crafting happens in Soul Shift. So if you're wanting to make things, that's our week 4 class in Soul Shift. Crystal Masters is like this, the little bit of what I teach, and then the whole program is Soul Shift where we do that. Yeah, so fire is your thumb, air is your forefinger, your middle finger is spirit, and then your ring finger is earth, and your pinky finger is water. Oh, of the release and pull in, yeah, let's do it really quick one more time. Releasing, again, away from your heart. This is the Aztec part of the work that we're doing, because they believed that you had to release energy away from the heart and call in energy toward the heart. The Aztecs, it's really interesting when you study Aztec cosmology, and it's how it lines up with the chakra system from the Vedas in ancient Hindu practice and tradition is fascinating. So the heart is the central chakra, right? It's the 4th chakra in the system out of 7. And the Aztecs believed the heart was the center of the body, that we thought, our thoughts happened in our heart, our feelings happened in our heart. And so they believed that anything you wanted to release had to be released from away from the heart to get it out of the body, because this was the engine, and anything you wanted to call in had to be brought toward the heart. So when we want to release worry and anxiety from the thumb, and then strength and passion is what we call in. With the forefinger, we release fear and low self-esteem here. and we call in peace and confidence. With the middle finger, we release anger and resentment and frustration, and we call in wisdom and integrity. And then with the ring finger, the Apollo finger, the sun finger, we release grief and we call in stability and patience, and also success, because that's what's represented by Apollo and by the sun. And then with the Mercury finger, we release unworthiness, not feeling good enough, right? Also poor communication or being misunderstood gets released here. Or if you're going into a tough conversation and you want to make sure you are understood, right? You can then call in, you can release your anxiety about it, and then you can call it in. Now, in what I taught Soul Shift was how to do this with a wand. And so I taught them, there's a very specific process of lines they have to follow, and I taught them how to do it with a wand. I'm giving you guys more of the just the focus on the crystals tonight, and not so much a focus on the energy work side of it. But this is probably a nice reinforcement for those of you who are in Soul Shift too. So let's talk about what happens on the lines of your hands. Are there any questions before I begin? I just want to check in and see if you guys are okay. Morgan, not that I've ever seen. It's not to say that there isn't. I know a lot about world traditions. I've been studying them for 30 years. But there may well be a tradition that has that same focus on releasing away from the heart and calling in through the heart. But I've never seen it articulated quite as explicitly as I have with the Central and South American indigenous traditions. With the pinky, you are calling in authentic expression, because it's Mercury. And also sovereignty is important through the pinky. I'm so glad this is making sense to you. Yeah, you can use your copper wand. That's a great suggestion. Does it matter what hand you start with? I don't think so, Nancy Keatley. Not to me. But it might for you. So I want you to start to feel tonight, and then tonight's like practice time. And then you can start to figure out for you, oh, you know what, I prefer to start with the right. Somebody else who's watching right now might say, I definitely have to start with the left. Yeah. Okay, so the earth finger, one more time, is the ring finger. It is sometimes associated with the sun, but you have to, we're working with the elements tonight. So I don't want you to get confused. Primarily for our purposes, it's sun, which is why I didn't write, it's earth, not sun. So I didn't write sun on your worksheets because I didn't want to confuse you. But it came up in the feed, so that's why I addressed it, but I would say focus on what's on your worksheets. Okay. Do the chakras align with fingers? Yeah, but we can only get so far in one class. But I think if we do, here's the thing. Your fingers have their own chakra system. So if we end up doing chakra work next year in Crystal Masters, I will be able to have more time to cover that. There are 108 chakras in your body. That's why there's 108 beads in a mala. So we think of the 7 chakras and really the 9, which includes Soul Star above you and Earth Star beneath you. But those 8 or those 7 are part of a much bigger system. And so it's 108 total, what they call nadis. And so your hands have their own chakras, and they can be out of balance, which is a lot of times what I think when people are having intense bouts of pain in their hands or arthritis on one side or the other. I think there's probably a root energetic imbalance going on there. But yeah, I have to pace myself with this because we can only do so much at a time. But that's why, I've been teaching online classes for 9 years. A lot of my students have been with me all 9 years. Because there's always some new thing to discover together. And we're kind of on this road of discovery. It's never ending. There's so much more. And I will tell you, I have so much to teach next year that I've never taught before. And each year, that the fact that I can say that to you is a testimony to how grand and magnificent this universe is. But the same thing, by the way, with pain in your feet. Your feet have their own chakra system. So more on that later. Okay, good. Sounds like most of your questions have been covered. And Alexis can help you with the worksheet situation. Okay, your lines. Let's start with your heart line, which is the top line. Do you see the primary 4 there? 2 across, 2 down. So the top one, that is your heart line. That heart line governs emotional healing. Now, here's what I think is interesting, and this is my contribution. I studied palmistry when I was very young. It's been a long time. And I kind of revived it for this class, but with a different take on it. This is not a palmistry class. This is a class to teach you about the energies of the lines and the fingers in your hands so that you better understand, so that you are more able to understand how things like Reiki work, why we use our hands to draw the symbols, why we use a phrase like, the laying on of hands, which has been a phrase used throughout, for example, the Christian tradition for many, many years. Why are hands so important? After tonight, I want you to understand why your hands are so important. Because they represent the 5 elements. So when you send energy through your hands, it's infused, it's anchored, it's connected to all forms of life, all aspects of this universe, right? I mean, that's that for me is the real power of the work that we're doing tonight. I'm so glad. I'm trying to stay focused, but I'm looking at your comments too. And the mudras, this is exactly why we learned about the mudras early this year. Do you remember that class? I think it was session 2 was the mudras, if I'm not mistaken. So that's why we incorporated the mudras. I taught you about the Hamza, remember, and I taught you what each one of the blessings. So we've been learning more and more about the hands as we go on through the year. Okay, so that is your line of emotional healing. When we place a crystal here, when you massage this line, it's the same principle. So we're not reading the lines, we're working the lines, okay, energetically. It is a very, very, very powerful way of activating emotional healing in the body. And again, if you are sending emotional healing, if you're releasing emotional blockages, you're going to work that line. And if you're calling in emotional healing for someone, you're talking to someone and they're grieving, you might find yourself automatically connecting with your breath, right? It's just one more tool in your toolkit is the way I look at it, but you'll never quite look at your hands the same way, right? What you can do, and this is why when someone was like, well, I don't have any tools tonight, what do I do? You have the best tools. I mean, hopefully now what you're thinking is, I'm so glad I'm here, even if I don't have my tools, because I've got great tools in my hands, right? Okay, the next line down is your head line. This is the line of mental healing. This is the line when you can't stop the racing thoughts. Out, again, away from the heart on that headline, right? And connect with that breath. I mean, it reorients the energy. It absolutely, there is such a powerful connection. Do you feel it? If you start to work this line, you will instantly relax. It's almost like it gets hard to even connect to the chatter when you're working this line. You feel it? I have to watch it. I can't do too much because I'll lose focus. It's really, really true. If you are trying to call in clarity, right? Right? So releasing, this is the headline, the second line down, the second horizontal line down. So releasing the chatter, calling in clarity, right? Yeah, so that's exactly right, Jillian Lee, and we're going to do it on the left hand tonight too, because I want you, if it's okay if we take the time to do that, I really want you to feel it on both sides, because you might decide that you always want to start with the left. Healers heal thyself, right? And then work on the right. Yeah, interesting, isn't it? It makes you sleepy, doesn't it? I'll give you a little hint. Try it with your kids. This is one of my secret weapons. And I do. I love to work with, I use Rev from the Sage Goddess line, but if you don't have Rev, you can just use a little lavender essential oil within a little bit of coconut oil, and then just in there. No, it will make you tired. It really will. I gotta stop because it's just, I gotta calling in focus. Okay. Now, your fate line is the line that runs down the center of your palm. That's your fate line, right down the center. That is your manifestation line. So that is about what you are trying to, again, releasing blockages to manifestation, calling in what you want to receive, okay? I know, I feel like I need oil now. Of course, I'm sitting here, I don't have anything, but it's okay. So, what's preventing you from manifesting right now? Can you identify? If you don't have a fate line, I just want you to work the energy down the center of your hand. You still have, it's still activating energy. So I want you to, it's down the center of your palm. Find the center of your wrist, right between the two bumps, right? Find the center of your wrist and pull the energy through down the center of your palm if you don't have a fate line. Okay? Because it's still there. I mean, the energy's still there even if you can't see the line. Okay? And release it. This is the Ganesha line. It activates these energy streams of overcoming obstacles to what you're trying to create. I don't know that it means anything if you don't have a fate line. I don't have fingerprints. I don't. I mean, I do if you really push hard. I've told that story many times. I don't think it means anything per se. Yeah, it's making your hand cold. Okay, and then now I want you to start at the top of your hand, top of your middle finger, because that's right about where your fate line drops off. Start at the top of your middle finger and pull down, as you pull down, what you want to create. This is your manifestation line, Nova. What do you want to create? What are you trying to manifest? It's fun, right? Fun to think about it. We're in a waxing moon too, so. Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't think I'm an alien or anything. I just don't have any. I'm working with a lot of essential oils and stuff over the years too. Lena says, confused. Should we call in energy by using our right hand on our left palm? So you would be calling in on your left hand, but right now we're practicing projecting. Right now we're practicing projecting. Then we'll practice receiving. Does that make sense? So right now we're projecting, but if you wanted to be doing this for yourself, and we're going to do it in just a minute, you would switch hands. And like I said, you may decide that you always want to start by helping yourself first, putting on your own mask, and then helping somebody else afterward. I'm so glad you're enjoying it. So Nathan's calling in prosperous, joyful relationships, financial stability. Love it. Does it matter what finger you use on the other hand to call in or release? Do you always use your thumb? I use my thumb. I don't think it really matters. I mean, it's, again, I find as a fire sign, I use the fire finger, and I don't know if that's has anything to do with that or not. But I use my thumb. Now, I will tell you, again, most of the time, when I can, I prefer quartz. And this is the other way, of course, to use your extractor needle. So if you have your extractor needle, quartz is going to magnify the energy, right? If you have an ocean jasper extractor, it's going to infuse all of this work with happiness and joy. If you have an amethyst one or a rose quartz one, it's going to infuse all of this with clarity and peace and love. You know? So it just, and that's why people were collecting the different kinds. If you do all of this with obsidian, which is what the Aztecs used, so we don't have any more of those, but if you were using your obsidian one, then that would be, infusing additional energies of fire transformation. Okay, and then the last line, of course, is your lifeline. And that is the line, your fate line's right down the center, your lifeline kind of goes at an angle next to it. Okay? Smoky quartz is great. Honestly, you know what? I will tell you this. I don't know that it really matters what kind of extractor you use. Ocean jasper has quartz in it. So ocean jasper, smoky quartz, aventurine, rose quartz, amethyst are all quartz-based, or at least quartz-included minerals. So those are all going to magnify the energy of what you're doing. So smoky's about clearing. Smoky's for transmutation. So smoky and obsidian are going to be the best ones for releasing. And what some people do, you don't have to do this, so I don't want to overwhelm you. Some people have the different extractors, and they do the calling in with the quartz and the out with the smoky or the obsidian. Because smoky and obsidian are more for releasing, transmuting, and quartz and ocean jasper and amethyst and rose are more about attracting. Lapis would be good for any of them. The reason I like the lapis extractor is because it's a stone of power. And labradorite is a stone of new beginnings. And I think those are all the varieties that we had. Vogels too. So if you want to do this with a Vogel, you can totally do it with a Vogel. You can do it with a single terminated wand. Y'all got options. I just like to show you, and that's why I think this is kind of a power tool, because there's almost nothing you can't do with it. And when I'm traveling and I have a little bag to travel, or I'm going to be backpacking, this is the only thing that goes. Because there almost isn't anything I can't do with just this. This and a leaf of sage and a lighter, I can pretty much do whatever ceremony is needed, right? Okay, So, lifeline. This is the one you all are going to really want to work with. This is your line to release physical illness and disease and pain. You ready for this one? So, again, away from the heart. If you're in pain, if you're ready to release it. So just follow that lifeline. Releasing. Away from the heart, and then calling in physical wellness, pain relief. Now again, this would be you doing this for someone else, right? That you're not receiving this, you're sending this. So right now I'm holding in my heart the people I know who've given me permission. I have certain people in my life who kind of give me pan permission to send them healing, and to, if I think about them, they've given me permission to send. So I'll think of loved ones in my life who could use some release of discomfort. Or if you put it in the feed that I can do it for you, I can do it for you right now. So emotional pain is the heart line. Physical pain is the lifeline. That's very important. So if, again, going back, your heart line is that top horizontal. That's where you're going to release emotional pain, Lauren. Okay, so Karen Brown. Thank you, Lena. Jillian, Lisa, Steph, Lori, Janine, and Sosa. Let me go back. Hold on, I want to see you so I can say your names. And Sosa, Angela, Bluebird, Martha, Rina, Cheryl, Carolyn, thank you. Debbie for her brother, Fernando, Asta. You use the diamond extractors? You sure can, girl. Tanya Kohler, Bonnie. Well, Tina Matthews. It's fun, isn't it? Thank you, Christina. Thank you, Dr. Chris. Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, and then emotional sadness will release up here for Jennifer. Are you starting to get the hang of it? Isn't it beautiful? As a healer, for me, this gives me something I can do for someone else. That feels, it's more than lighting a candle. You know what I mean? It's more than saying a prayer. It becomes a very conscious way of connecting energetically, and I think it's important. And so then you saw me pivot, right, when Jennifer Bard said for emotional healing. Go back up in the feed. Okay. I don't think I'm going to be able to read all your names out loud, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my spirit guides. Is there a way, Alexis, that you can take a snapshot of that so I have it for myself, for my notes, just so that in the future, if these names come up in my meditation, I know I have permission. So I'm going to ask my spirit guides, everyone here who's offered permission, I call in physical healing for them, and I release any obstacles on this line to their physical comfort, to their wellness, releasing all obstacles to their physical comfort and their wellness, releasing all obstacles to physical comfort and wellness. And thank you. That's kind of a big deal, and I really appreciate it. I take your permission very seriously. I do. And you do occur to me sometimes. So it's just nice to know. You know, if I'm laying in bed in the middle of the night, sometimes you guys pop in and I'm just like, okay, well, you know, there's Denise Rivera. Hi, Denise. And sometimes I'll feel like, okay, you know, I want to release something, and it's nice to know I have the permission. Okay, I'm releasing emotional for Denise. So anyone who's giving permission to release the emotional energies, I release it on the heart line. Fun to practice, isn't it? Okay. Are you feeling how your hand is working? Do you feel it? I mean, you should really, really, really feel. And I will tell you something. Sometimes my MS affects my hands, and I feel like a little bit of weakness. And instantly, if I do this, you guys, the weakness is gone. Every single time. It's almost like putting the hand to service is a healer in and of itself. Here's another question, and be honest, right? You can say, no, I don't feel any better. If you were in pain or discomfort before we started class tonight, do you feel any relief at all from working the energies on your projecting hand? I'm just curious. I mean, I was having some discomfort and I feel better, so I'm wondering if you feel it too. Because again, I think there are a lot of, at least for me, side benefits to being of service. And sometimes it can bring a real sense of relief, even physical relief, right? And so I want you to take kind of a mental snapshot. I'm glad it's helping. I want you to take a mental snapshot of how this state feels, because when we switch sides, and then I'm gonna integrate the stones. When we switch sides, I want you to be able to compare and contrast. That'll give you a real sense, because then for the question that a lot of you have asked, which is a great question of like, do I start with my right or do I start with my left? You may want to start with your left, again, to get yourself in order so that you are a more open channel for healing for a client that you might be working with, or a family member, or whoever you're going to be helping. It's interesting, right? And it does. It releases anxiety. It relieves depression. It really, really does. At least for me, it brings a lot of comfort. Okay. So that is all the work. We're going to now switch hands to the left side, and then we'll work with both hands again by applying the stones. Actually, you know what? Let's apply the stones to the right hand first. We'll do that first. Okay, so lapis is the stone for your index finger, your Jupiter finger, because that's the finger of success. So I want you to hold your hand out flat. You can choose to place the stones wherever you would like. I find that I like to place them at the crook where my finger connects to my palm, because I have the most ability to control, so that they're not flip-flopping all over the place. Okay, so I want you to place your lapis stone on your index finger. Your garnet stone goes on your middle finger. Your sunstone goes on your ring finger. Sun. Your amazonite goes on your pinky finger. That's your communication stone. So you should look like this right now. Your amazonite goes on your heart line, which is the top line, right under like that. And then your unakite, your unakite goes on the heart line. The tiger's eye goes on the head line, which is the line immediately below that. I have a little small hand, so I gotta do what I can do. Some of you have bigger hands, so you have more surface area to work with. Does that make sense where I have them now? Okay, and then your aventurine goes on your fate line. That is the line that runs right down the center. I'm going to put it right there. And then your bloodstone goes on the lifeline, which runs up the other side. So it ends up looking almost like a quad with the unakite, tiger's eye, aventurine, and bloodstone, and then amazonite, sunstone, garnet, and lapis. Aww. Thank you for that, Jessica. I see you. Woo! Okay, yeah, let me do it one more time and more slowly. You're fine, Melanie. I'm happy that you're here. You're never late. Class is recorded anyway, so you can always watch it later. I'm glad you're here now. So, lapis goes at the base of your index finger. Garnet goes at the base of your middle finger. Sunstone goes at the base of your ring finger. And amazonite goes at the base of your pinky finger. Then unakite goes on your heart line. Your tiger's eye goes on your head line. Your aventurine goes on your fate line. And then your bloodstone goes on your lifeline. This is all going to make so much more sense because I explained all the correspondences to you before. But I do want to go through, if you don't mind, the stones one by one just to remind you of their metaphysical properties, and then we're going to play. Yeah, sometimes your stones will look different. I mean, they're all from the same mine, but Mother Nature's different. So there's always going to be a little differentiation between the stones. Remember the sodalite pyramids? That was all from the same rough. Mother Nature is an artist, you know. She paints each one with a different brush. Ooh. What's the protocol for people who do not know you're working on them? The protocol is not to work on them. Yeah, this goes to one of the most important things for me in healing work is consent. So I don't work on people who don't know that I'm working on them, which is why I don't, even if I wake up in the middle of the night and my spirit guides are like, Morgan, 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 if I don't have your permission, I'm not going to do anything with that information. But that's my personal philosophy. Some people do feel differently. So, but that is just my approach to this work. Okay. Yeah, if you need to stack them, it's okay. If they overlap, it's okay, right? Yeah. And thank you. Okay. The thing is, people have free will. And sometimes people think they want to heal and they don't. You ever met somebody like that? I have people in my life like that. They talk about healing all day long. I want to heal. When am I going to heal? But they don't want to heal. They don't want to heal because not being healed gets them attention. They don't want to heal because I have one friend who loves going to the doctor. She loves it. She loves her doctor. She loves going there. She loves talking to her doctor. She looks forward to the next visit. I honestly think it would be sad. So, and we've joked about it. She's like, I know, you're right. I would miss him. It's just like, what? Anyway, that's for a subject for another time. Now, in my practice, rarely am I working with all of these stones all the time. It's a lot. I gave this to you. It's kind of like I gave you a whole palette of paints, and I'm asking you to pick up 8 brushes and start painting with all 8 colors at once. So, what I would like to do is kind of show you a couple of exercises. I'm going to teach you the metaphysical of the stones, and then I want to show you the exercises. Is that okay? Okay. If you have a whitish stone, it's probably sunstone. Or it could be amazonite if it's a turquoise white. Yeah, so again, it's lapis, garnet, sunstone, amazonite, unakite jasper, tiger's eye, bloodstone, and then the one at the bottom is aventurine. Okay? There is no thumbstone. You don't need it, it's the fire finger. Okay. Okay, so lapis is the stone for Jupiter, for the forefinger, because it represents power. And it represents success and leadership. And remember what we call in, we release fear here, and we call in confidence. So this is the stone that you would work with if you were working with a client who was just so down on themselves, like they don't think they're good enough, their kids don't think they're good enough, their partner doesn't think they're good enough, they don't think they're good enough, right? If that person comes to you, quick crystal healing session, I'll flex my arm a little bit, it's been like sitting out for too long. I would activate. I would probably release some mental blocks, right? Let me scratch my hand a little bit. So I would release those mental blocks around their confidence. I would call in confidence, and then I would place the stone while I work on other parts of them, right? Because I usually, when I'm working on people, I usually have them lay down with their arms up, with their palms flat like this. So if you have your clients work like that, then now, I mean, obviously you're doing this on their behalf. So if someone called me and they wanted me to do this remotely for them, I would do the exact same thing, except now I would sit with my hand out while I talk to them with the stone on my finger. And I would probably have them do some mantras, some visualization. I might lead them through a guided meditation. I have a guided meditation called the throne meditation. So you envision the most beautiful castle that you've ever seen, and you walk in through these huge wooden doors that swing open in front of you, and you enter the throne room. And all around are the most beautiful velvet brocade curtains, and there's classical music playing very slightly, and there are candles lit everywhere, and there's this beautiful gilded throne. And you know that this is your throne, and as soon as you sit on that throne, all of your power, all of your magic, all of your lineage will be restored to you in perfect form. And so, but the only requirement is you cannot sit on that throne until you release all of your feelings of unworthiness. So you get 10 steps to walk from where you are to that throne. And so I would walk through that whole meditation with them. So on the first step, what are you releasing? Well, my boss thinks this. Okay. On the second step, what are you releasing? So by the time you get to the throne, you're able to sit and become the queen that you are. Would you like me to record it? It'd be super easy for me. It's one of my favorites. It's short, but it's fun. It'll make you feel like a queen. It's a good one. And somebody asked a great question a couple of weeks ago. How much of what I'm sharing with you is it okay to share with your students or your clients? I assume the whole reason you're here is to do this with your clients. To do it with yourself, to do it with your friends, to do it with your family, and to do it with clients. Like, I assume that that's why you're here. So I don't assume that everything I teach you is going to be interesting to you or helpful to you. You'll probably keep 50% of it maybe and toss the other. But if things do serve you and you do like them, my hope is you're going to take them and use them. Truly. You know what I mean? So anyway, I appreciate that, because some people have been very sweet about like, well, I don't know, and it's not, you're here to learn. And then ultimately, because here's the thing, no matter how you take this and port it over into your own practice, it's not going to be exactly the way I do it. You're going to twist and tweak and tune, and it'll be your voice, right? It'll be maybe you'll decorate the throne room differently, but the concept, maybe I inspired you to do that. So anyway, thank you for whoever asked that question, and I really wanted to make a point to tell you this. I give this to you as an offering in hopes that you'll take it and that others will benefit from it too. Okay, so that's one example of how that would work. The garnet corresponds to the Saturn finger, because this is about, Saturn is the taskmaster planet, right? Saturn is all about tough lessons, and Saturn is about facing what's challenging for you, right? And grounding in, knowing that you're safe to do that exploration, right? So remembering what we release on that finger, which is anger and resentment. Why is this happening to me? If I had a client come to me and say, I need you to help me. Something is happening to me. I feel like this is all happening to me, and I need to get out of a victim mentality. Right, all the way around. And I probably would go in, I feel like I would want to do some releasing of what they are manifesting with their thought patterns and thought systems. So I might do some releasing through the fate line. And I might manifest strength and integrity so that they feel balanced and capable of meeting the challenges of their life. Yeah? If they had poor self-esteem and also felt like a victim, then I would place both of those stones. That's a great question from Joanne. I don't know that the pressure matters. I mean, don't hurt yourself. You know what I mean? That's why I'm always saying with the extractor, like, a little goes a long way. You don't have to sit there and break skin, right? Yeah. We'll get you everything that I'm talking about tonight. We'll get to you in some form. So I don't want you to be anxious, like, oh, you know, it went fast, or I wasn't able to keep up, or what did she say that was for again? Like, Alexis and I will put our heads together and make sure there's some cohesive text and graphics to make sure you get the gist of what we're doing tonight. Yeah. Yes, April, I did say that. So you absolutely can do that with a single terminated wand. That's what this is in effect. The benefit of this over a single terminated wand is the sharpness of it. It's an activator of energy. And there is something about the sharpness of the tool and how it activates the lines. At least for me, in my practice, it's different than other things I've worked with. But, you know, there are many different tools. There's no rule for how long to leave the stones on your hand. You know, if I'm going to do a guided meditation, I'm going to leave the stones on my hand until the meditation is done. That's kind of my practice, you know? Remembering, by the way, everything I'm teaching you tonight, this is a practice that I have cultivated myself over time. I didn't learn this anywhere, and I've never seen it written about or done. So what that means is, again, you can take what works for you and then adapt this to incorporate other tools that you have, or, you know, work with what you have right in front of you, or get really comfortable just using your fingers. You know what I mean? When you're done with the, you know, the releasing and the calling in, you can just put pressure there for him or for her or for them, right? Just, you know, you can just put pressure there, right? And use your life force to do it. You'll find your ways. So yeah, that's exactly right, Jillian. I'm here to inspire you and then hope that you take all of this, you help people with it, and you adapt it in your own ways. And then what's really cool as a teacher down the road is I get to see where you took it. You know, and sometimes I learn from you guys too, like, oh, I never thought to do it that way. So anyway, you guys will best me on this in some way. You'll take it and make it cooler or different, and then I will follow what you're doing at some point. Okay, so for the ring finger, we have sunstone, right, because it's Apollo, also correspondence to the sun. This is creativity, it's good fortune, it's also success. And because leadership and success are both the forefinger and the ring finger to some extent. The forefinger is more about confidence, and the ring finger is more about success. So if someone was saying, I just don't know. I have tried everything with this business that I've started. I've done this, I've done that. I swear to you, I'm just blocked somehow. I don't know. What I would do is, again, releasing down the fate line any blockages to success that person might be experiencing. And usually that's accompanied by a lack of confidence too. And then I would call in confidence, success, and I probably would place both the sunstone and the lapis. And probably the throne meditation, which ultimately can be like 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's really, honestly, Annette, I think that's really cool. She said, I picture myself with a crystal prescription pad, placing crystals, drawing a diagram, and then sending the client with a goodie bag of crystals. And wouldn't that be the coolest thing? You could actually like record it and send them the recording, or you could, you know, maybe what we can do, I'm trying to think of how that would work. Maybe we could create a canvas, well, I mean, ultimately, I guess you could just take this, right? And just print it. And lay the stones on it, take a picture of it, and then send them the picture with the stones. Super fun, right? You can do this on a client or on you for them. I'm focusing on remote work right now because most people are not doing the laying on of hands at this time in our complicated history. But you absolutely, so what I was saying earlier, but let me repeat it just in case anybody missed it. When I work physically on someone, I have them lay down on their back. I usually put an eye pillow over them for comfort. And I have them lay with their arms down and their palms up. And if I don't do what I'm showing you tonight, I usually will give them a palm stone to hold. Clients don't like to not have something in their hands or on their hands when you're doing energy work, in my experience. you know, it's good to have a bolster under their knees, make them nice and comfortable, support their back, and give them something. Do you know what I mean? So that they have energy to connect to through the palms of their hands. I think it's really important. Oh, did we get the girdle of Venus wrong on the diagram? We have a resident astrologer who did the diagram, so I will report back to them. Oh, it's not spelled correctly. Oh, it isn't. It's griddle. The girdle of Venus. Laugh with me. That's really funny. It would be even funnier if it was, if we actually spelled it like griddle, like with 2 Ds. Sorry, I have to laugh at that. If Venus had a griddle, I actually would really like a griddle pan that's shaped like Venus. My sister works for Williams Sonoma. Maybe I should let her know that as a product idea. Okay, and then last but not least, Mercury. You have a client who comes to you and they're like, you know what, Lena? We can't talk without fighting. You know, like, you know how your clients just tell you everything? Or, you know what, I'm so done, I'm never speaking to him again, blah, 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 blah. Or, I am so done being misunderstood, right? So immediately you know where to go, right? So you have to decide if that's a heart issue or a head issue, if you want to work the lines. And then ultimately that's amazonite, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes you gotta laugh. And I honestly, like, we make mistakes all the time. I mean, I literally make mistakes all the time. So I've had to learn how to laugh at it. Not to take yourself too seriously. The shitty part of life is that we're human. This all would be so much easier if we were not. Except we wouldn't be here. Okay. I used to take myself really seriously, especially when I was in graduate school and when I was a professor, because if you made a mistake as a professor, that was a big deal. You know what I mean? Because you were supposed to know it all, be perfect all the time, have all the answers. Now I'm just like, I don't know. Trying to have more fun with it. Okay, now we go to, so now we start to complicate matters. In a good way, right? So now we start to incorporate our Unakite on the heart line. So somebody who's not feeling heard in their relationship is going to need a Amazonite on the Mercury finger and Unakite on the heart line. Right? You can continue, by the way, because again, there are so many chakras on your hands and fingers. You can continue, by the way, to experiment with your extractor needle, especially if the person is in person. Working down the finger, bringing the energy around, over the rest of the line. Just activating those lines while you talk to them, or while they talk to you. Tell me more about him. Okay, well, when he does that, how do you feel? And where is that feeling sitting in your body right now? Well, it's sitting in my stomach. My stomach I feel nauseous. Okay. So let's give your intestines permission to release this energy. They don't have to hold it. It's not their responsibility. And this is how crystal healing goes for me when I'm doing work. And it just, again, it's giving you tools. It's giving them an experience. The other thing you can do, it's hard to do this, is you can use your tuning fork, right, to attune the energy. This is 528, which is DNA repair. This is the master healer of the through the line. Ooh, that felt really good. Wow, that was good. Woo, I'm putting Ali to sleep. Okay, now let's switch to the other hand. Actually, let me finish the rest of the stones, then we'll go to the other hand. We have enough time. These Solfeggio frequencies, by the way, I think we went through all of them. Which class was it, Alexis? They can go back to their notes from, because I don't have time to go through all the frequencies tonight. We only have half an hour left, but we did cover them all, and I'm trying to remember which class it was. Okay. Tiger's Eye is the headline, which is the second line down. So that is the stone for mental health. This isn't a stone for wisdom and protection. It's associated so that to help you remember. The headline is about wisdom. It's about racing thoughts. It's about your mental healing. And so this stone, by placing it here, this is the stone of Athena, right, who's the goddess of wisdom. So this is about when you have to heal the head, always think Tiger's Eye. Tiger's Eye is really good for, especially for clarity. I would combine Tiger's Eye and fluorite and say those are the two best stones for mental clarity. And remember, you don't have to just stick with these stones. You could add in other stones in the middle, right? I mean, I could see you fully gridding someone's hands. But these are good to begin with because they're stable. They're not going to flip around on your hand. I mean, you can practically turn your hand and they don't fall off, which is why I love the size, right? And then green aventurine corresponds to the fate line. This is your good luck, manifestation, co-creation, all of that energy. So if you're only using this one, you can place it in the center of the palm. Remember, the fate line goes all the way from the top of the middle finger to where your palm connects to your wrist. Okay, March was the frequencies. Yep. Yeah, it's really good. Well, and Tiger's Eye, like when you're speaking to groups, Tiger's Eye with Amazonite's really good too because it helps to keep your train of thought clear. And then Sapphire is really good for information recall. Those are all really good stones for working with big groups if you ever have to do that. And then Bloodstone is your pain reliever stone. Honestly, for me, it will be hard to keep this set together because I've been wanting a little flat piece of bloodstone for my own physical pain relief forever, and I haven't had this size before. So it's going to be hard for me not to want to just carry the stone around all the time. I actually have clients who take their flat pieces of bloodstone and they will take a rubber band and put it around their wrist. I have a client with carpal tunnel, and she literally will do that. She'll get one of those really thick rubber bands, or tie off a piece of sari ribbon and connect it to her wrist. So this is for the lifeline, which is that farthest line towards your thumb, and this is for pain. So if your client comes to you and they're like, "I am in so much pain, Athena," you go into the lifeline. This is the physical healing line. Then and try to visualize where it is that they're talking about the pain. And then the bloodstone, and then so, and again, you can go in with really good questions to get the conversation going. Crystal healing for me is an ongoing conversation when I'm doing a session. Some people are very quiet during crystal healing sessions. I don't think I'm ever quiet. So I'm constantly trying to get the client to talk because talking moves energy. And it connects them with their own vibration. So I would be asking questions here like, okay, so talk to me about this pain. Where is it sitting? When was the first time you noticed this pain? Does this pain have a message for you? If this pain had a voice, what would it say to you? And then just keep that conversation going. Can you track this pain anywhere else in your body? Can you track this pain through your lineage? Did your mothers have this pain? Did your fathers have this pain? Did your mother or your father? Did your grandmothers? Did your grandfathers? Does this pain have a name? Does it have a frequency? Is it here to teach you? What's the lesson? Have you learned the lesson? Are you still learning the lesson? Right? What's Tanya's idea? Sometimes I miss all the good stuff. Would you like me to get more buttons? Took a minute to get these made, but they're cute, right? I kind of want more buttons. You may end up seeing more buttons just because I want more buttons. I had a really long wish list of buttons, so they're cute, right? I actually thought that they would actually be cute as buttons. I have a shawl that like has a little, like I thought about gluing on the little thing so it could actually be a button. Oh, they're cute. I'm glad you guys like them too. Okay, let's switch hands, shall we? Are you ready to receive? They are like candy. Take a deep breath. Anytime we switch sides, it's really important to stop because now you have to calibrate the energy, right? We've done so much work on the side. So it's good to take a deep breath, consciously become aware of moving the energy. If you have your obsidian wand, mine is in my cabinet, but I'll show you what to do with your quartz if you're in Soul Shift. This would be a good time just to bring the fire line back up that I taught you about. Bringing it up to your shoulder, bringing it over to your heart, right? And then up over to your other shoulder. This will connect you, connect the fire lines. And then bringing it down over the wrist. And then preparing the other arm for work, the other hand for work. Yeah. That's good stuff, right? Hey, we usually don't repeat the sets for Crystal Masters because I assume people who wanted one got one, but part of me is like, this might be a good one to have in case you wanted 2 sets. Because sometimes people have like a medicine bag that they use when they travel, and they like to keep, like I like to keep a separate extractor there so that I don't have to worry about packing stuff when I'm traveling. You know, it's just like there's an extractor sitting there in the travel bag. I don't use that except when I'm traveling. So anyway, there's so many oils you could work with. I think, you know, arnica, all the pain relieving oils would be really good for this. Arnica, moringa is really good for pain relief. Lavender absolute's good for pain relief. So just some of those. I like to use copaiba for pain relief. That's a really good one. The Tolu Balsam oil from Soul Shift this month is another one that's documented for pain relief, really good for arthritic pain. So, yeah. Okay, good. Well, Alexis and I will take a look, you guys, and see what we can do. It'd be fun, right? I'd like to have a second set, too. I only have 1 set. I didn't want to take any extra sets away from you guys, so I have my one. Okay, so we're gonna do the exact same practice here, right? Ooh, that feels good. It feels. Now you tell me, when I'm receiving, it's so different. So different. It's like. The arthritis pain oil. Well, there's 2 that are well documented. Well, there's 3 that are pretty well documented. Copaiba, which is an important one for pain relief, and I would mix that with arnica. And then Tolu Balsam, Tolu Balsam, is used for RA sometimes, and so those are probably the best ones for you to start with. Doesn't that feel good? Do you feel it? Yeah. It makes me like sit up a little bit straighter. Woo. Okay. I like doing it, so I have to remind myself to stop. I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna activate all fingers. It just feels good to do that. It's kind of good because this is for me, so let's get the energy moving. And if it helps to start to memorize, the properties, like, okay, again, the ring finger, we're releasing grief, right? Calling in patience, calling in confidence, calling in success, too, there. We're releasing, feeling blockages around our throat chakra here, authentic blockages to communication, and we're calling in sovereignty. Okay, and always complete the line. Okay, so now you've learned, now you shall practice. So if you were going to you as a crystal healer, right? By the way, crystal healing for pets is on the 2021 Crystal Masters curriculum sheet right now. And I'm really excited to talk about crystal healing with your pets. I should call them buttons, I know, huh? Yeah, CBD helps too if you're in a place where it's legal. That's a helper. Okay. Sure, Joanne, give it a shot. I mean, you never know. If it, and here's the thing, Joanne, if it works for you, it works. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work. So I could say no, but it could work perfectly well for you. So my guidance to you will always be, if your intuition is saying, I think I should try that wand over there, you should probably try that wand over there. And that's again how everybody's practice gets very customized to them, right? Your tools will speak to you. And I guarantee you, if after tonight's class, I hope you feel inspired to go back to your own collection of stones. Others are going to call out to you and say, I want to be with the buttons. I kind of look like a button. I can hang out with the buttons. I can pretend to be a button. You're going to have other crystals that are going to want to go on this ride with you a little bit too. Okay. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm an animal lover, and I work with lots of clients with their pets, so it's a big deal. I think it would be helpful. I know, bebops and buttons. What have we become? So I want you to think about what you would go to a crystal healer for right now. What would that be for you? What would it be? Would it be to relieve pain? Would it be to relieve, physical pain? Would it be to release emotional pain? Would it be for clarity and focus? Would it be for business success? Chronic headaches, right? So there we're going to go with that lifeline, right? Business success, we're going to go with that fate line. Pain and swelling, shedding weight for a lot of us, right? I've got my quarantine 5 that I've put on. I blame my friend and her company that makes homemade pasta sauce and flavored butters. Self-confidence, pain relief, energetic blockages, right? Joy, just getting joy, right? Releasing, again, headache, right? Feeling peace and courage. Okay. So I want you to play a little bit. I want you to look at your buttons. I want you to look at your diagram. I want you to think about what it is. Always begin with what you need to release. One of the most valuable things I learned when I was going through Wiccan training, which ultimately, I'm sure you know my story, but I started out in a Wiccan High Priestess program when I was 18. And didn't finish it because turns out I'm not Wiccan. But I went through about 1.5 years of it, and it was the best, honestly, it was the best training, technical training I've ever had. We had exams, it was very focused, and very, actually it was quite difficult. And one of the most important things that they taught us is release first. Because if you try to call something in and you haven't released the reason you couldn't call it in the first place, it's almost like having a donut, like a maple donut, and then deciding, oh, I don't want a maple donut, I want a chocolate donut, and then just putting chocolate on top of the maple donut. It's like, that kind of doesn't work. You kind of have to scrape off the maple first if you don't want a maple donut. Does that make sense? I have to use a donut analogy. So anyway, if you don't want a maple donut and that's what you've got, take the maple off and then we'll put the chocolate on. But you have to make room for what you want. The other thing I learned in that program that sort of relates to that is, and it's good for us as crystal healers to talk about this, you don't ever want to release energy without calling in what you intend to replace it with. The universe doesn't like a vacuum. And if you create a vacuum, it will fill it on your behalf. And if you don't co-create what they replace your vacuum with, right, then you may end up with something that you still don't like, right? So it's about making room for that. That's exactly right. Are there crystals or teeth for dental issues? I'm not sure. Let me think on that for you. Off the top of my head, no. But that doesn't mean there isn't one. And maybe somebody in the feed knows something that would be helpful too. Pain issues there are, right? But let me think on that. From the essential oils, it's clove, right? But again, that's for pain. I do love the dentist. I have such a fixation. I literally skip to get my teeth cleaned, but my dentist is also my friend. I was getting my PhD at USC when he was in dental school, and his mom owned a Greek restaurant here in LA that I ate at every day. So, but I love him. I love his wife. I love his kids, and I love getting my teeth cleaned. Okay, let's stop talking about teeth and donuts because it's getting weird. That's not what you're here for. Okay, so I'll practice on me and you can practice on you. I've had some anxiety. I have. I mean, I haven't had an anxiety attack, but I've had kind of I'm a little nervous, about the state of our world, frankly. I mean, just to be authentic, I have. Can you guys see me? Did it go weird for a minute? So I would like to release some of that and call in. I wish I didn't feel unsettled. I hope at some point I don't. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but anyway, we're good. This is YouTube. It's been happening like every third video I'm doing. Yeah, there's some kind of underlying doesn't sit right with me, yeah? So can we work on that? Does anybody else want to work on that with me? Do you want to use that as a practice? And then you can do your own, right? Does that work? Let's do that. So let's think about what we ultimately need to release for that. We need to work a little bit on the heart line, right? Which is that top line there. We need to work on the head line. I think it's head and heart line, don't you? Okay, so we'll work on anxiety tonight. And if you don't have any anxiety, you can just kind of do the exercise. If you want, you can do the exercise on the other hand to maybe like release, global anxiety a little bit if you don't feel anxious. Okay, so let's start with the heart line on top, and let's away from the heart. Let's begin. So let's see. I like it. So releasing sadness, grief. I'm definitely grieving a little bit. I'm talking about myself just because I can't talk about you. I don't know how you're feeling, so I don't want to make it sound like this is about me, but I've been feeling heavy and kind of like a little bit like I'm grieving what this year couldn't be. I'm grieving my friend that I lost. I'm grieving not being able to hug my folks for 6 months. Like I'm grieving some of those things, And I'm grieving my kids not being able to be at school because it's really hard for them. The online thing is hard. They're awfully young for it. So I'm grieving that. I'm grieving some of that. I'm grieving not seeing my team. That doesn't feel right. I think that's it. Yeah. So I'm rubbing down that heart line. Can you see? Yeah, you can use your extractor. You sure can, Fernando. I'm partly using my thumb just because for those of you who don't have tools, I don't want you to feel left out. You know what I mean? But it is good. It's a good reminder for me to show you how to use the tool for it. Okay, and so now I want to call in appreciation, I think, on the heart line for me, right? Can we all cry? No, we can cry. I want to call in appreciation because there are parts of this time that have been really, really sweet, and I keep trying to be grateful for it. I've had more time with my kids. I've been able to be home more. I've taken better care of my home. I've cooked more. I feel like I've had more time with you guys in a way, you know what I mean? Because I haven't traveled. So I've been able to do a little bit. I've spent more time teaching this over the last 6 months than I usually do, like, you know, bonus classes and things like that, because I've had time to do it. And there have been a lot of happy moments, right? Like, there have, right? And gratitude for being healthy. Very grateful for that. Yeah, I've been able to teach you from home. Let's be grateful for that. I mean, I love having you in my house. It feels very personal and very sweet, and it's very nice. Like, I wish Alexis was here. I really miss Alexis. It's very authentic. Like, I can't believe I haven't, I'm gonna cry. It's hard. But I'm glad. It has been really beautiful to have you here. Don't make me cry, Alexis. I really miss you. Okay. Move that through. You've gotten to know Barbara. It's true. It's true. Okay. Headline. It's good. It's true. That's why I wear waterproof mascara. I do, honestly, because I cry sometimes. We do. I talk to Alexis all day long. So I don't feel like I miss you, but I miss you. Like, I can't believe I haven't laid eyes on you. Okay, so on the headline, I'm releasing overthinking. I've been doing some overthinking. That's not good. I'm really working on underthinking everything. That's right. Isn't that amazing? Like Steph said, I wouldn't have had time for Soul Shift and Crystal Masters without it. So in a way, right? Like, yeah, we should FaceTime each other. I know. But I'm one of those friends, I will never ask you to FaceTime. If you want to FaceTime me, I will FaceTime. But I never ask people to FaceTime because I know some people hate to FaceTime. Like, I don't force employees to be on a Zoom. Like, to me, that's unacceptable. If they want to be in their pajamas with no makeup and not have to worry about being cute, so be it. Okay. I'm releasing overthinking on the headline. I'm releasing making assumptions on the headline. What are you releasing on the headline? What are you releasing? Are you an overthinker too? Overthinkers Anonymous. I've been really working on, we've talked about this too, on not rehearsing tragedy, like not getting ready for something bad to happen. I don't need to see my employees. I can talk to them. I don't need to see a face. So you're releasing negative thoughts, shadow thinking. I love it. Look, anger with rioters, releasing anxiety, releasing jealousy, drama, mental chatter, right? Yeah, judgment. That's good. Let's let that go. What ifs, releasing not having the answer, releasing needing to know. Like, sometimes we think we need to know everything or have all the answers. We don't, right? It's releasing self-sabotaging thoughts, programmed thoughts, apathy. I love this. Gosh, you guys have so many great suggestions. I feel so much better already. Lana. Yep, all the stress. The woulda, coulda. Love it, Laurel. Trying to figure things out from Carolyn. I let that go too. Facebook, which is, it is the best thing. It is the most challenging thing. Political hate, racism, impatience, fuzz. Let's release the fuzz. Okay. I gotta stop there because I'm giving myself a real workout. Obviously, my headline needed a break. Did you feel that? Do you feel the energy moving through? It's like, ooh, that feels so good. I would really get in there on your hand if you were here. All right, now what are we gonna call in? I'm gonna call in worrying about things when they actually happen. I'm gonna call in mental calm I'm going to call in, yep, positivity, pulling that toward the heart. Again, remember, down the headline toward the heart. Trust, clarity, simplicity, peace, surrender, love it. Being in the moment, right? Again, be here now. Ram Dass was correct. Woo. Yep, acceptance, clarity, love it. Joy, universal love, wisdom, sexy time. Well, we're on the thought line right now. We're not on the physical line. We're on the mental line right now. We're at the neck up, darling Morgan. You want to go neck down? We got to go over to your lifeline. Or to your fate line. Careful what you're calling in. Okay, so now let's think about and go into those. I mean, if you want, you can go into those lines. Going into that heart line first. So, you know, if I was a crystal healer for myself, I would be like, okay, so when you feel overwhelmed or, you know, feel that anxiety, where do you feel that in your body? Where does that show up? And give your body permission to give you a physical sign if you're not sure. And so that shows up in my sciatic, which I think is true. So let's give your central nervous system permission to release that low-grade anxiety. Let's go over to the lifeline. This is this line right here. And let's give the central nervous system permission to release. And just give the body permission to release. Let it get stuck. Right? That's true. Sexy can be in the head. So I'm on the lifeline right now, giving my body permission to release where these thoughts and anxiety get stored. Can you see that, Che? It got kind of highlighted there. That's the lifeline. Okay. Now let's look at our stones and let's think about which ones you'd want to place based on this, right? So, you know, I'm not having a confidence issue. And I don't think I need my garnet. I'm actually doing the work of looking at things in my life. I'm not avoiding things. So sometimes that's really about avoidance. And I'm not angry, you know what I mean? So I don't think I really need to do much work with Saturn. I would say with Apollo, you know, Apollo really does represent, in terms of the energy of the sun, a good outcome, a positive outcome. So I am going to place my sunstone on where my ring finger meets my palm. Yeah, I see you, Deb. I mean, it's just, stress can show up in all kinds of ways, right? Oh, Andrea, I see you, girl. Yeah, Lizette, my stomach takes it a little bit. Come closer. Close enough, darling. Okay, so yeah, so I'm going to put that there. And then I think I need the Unakite. My heart's definitely in this game. So I'm going to put the Unakite on my heart line, right? Which is that top horizontal line. And I'm going to put the tiger's eye on my headline, my mental line, right? Which is the second horizontal line. I'm going to do the bloodstone on my lifeline for the ways in which these energies show up as pain, right? Or as, you know, bloating or whatever, the different things. We all get different things. I'm trying to decide if I need the aventurine or not. I feel like intuitively, I feel like I want to stop there. These feel like the 4 that I need. Does that make sense? You may not have exactly the same lines or some of them might not be the same length, but the general locations are the same, so just place them, okay? Do I need it? You guys be the crystal healers. I'll put it. I mean, it can't hurt. It can't hurt. So then it would look like that. Is your hand buzzing? This feels good. Okay. So, one of the things you can do too, once you've placed all your crystals, and again, you will find so many different fun, my fingers are super buzzy. You will find your technique for this, but imagine this is your client and they're laying down with these stones in their hand. You can take your extractor and make a circle around, close your fingers, around all of the stones. I feel that in my shoulder. It's really crazy. Like it's all up my bicep. So interesting how energy runs, you guys. It's so interesting. And then, again, if this was a client, I'd be talking it through. So part of the medicine here is trust, right? Trust that there can be a good outcome. Trust that we don't have to know all the answers right now. And so ask your body in this moment where there is energy that needs to be released and where is it sitting. Give your body permission to give you a gentle sign about where it needs to release. And then you can leave them on as long as you like or as little time as you like. I kind of went someplace else there for a minute. That feels really good, doesn't it? Yeah. The intuition line we didn't really work with for this class, Lori, but let's say, optimistically speaking, if we were able to get more buttons, I would probably, or you could use your lapis stone to place that on the intuition line, which is the, if you look at your palm, it's the outer line. Some people have a defined one and some people don't. It's on the outer edge of your palm under your pinky, so you could place your lapis there. If we had a labradorite one, it'd be good there. Can you imagine having an azurite one? I would really like that. Ooh, use the tuning fork between the stones. I gotta use my my knee because the fatty part of my knee to get a good buzz. There we go. Oh, that feels really good. Wow. And then when you're done, you can take your stones and remove them. And then the last thing I like to do when I'm working with my hands a lot, because we just moved, yes, this was my left hand because I was receiving. I did my right hand first because I was teaching you how to do this for other people. Because my assumption is you'll do both. You'll help yourself and you'll help other people too. So I like to burn just a little bit of white sage and let the smoke come up through my fingers. Really smudge them. Feels so good. Oh my God, it feels like a warm massage for my hand. Nice. Hey Lisa Cunningham, actually we're almost done. But it's recorded. I'm glad you're here for a little while. Yeah, Morgan, let us know, please. More information is always good. And then just clear that energy. You can run your buttons through the smoke too, especially if you've used them on someone else, even energetically, you know, this is the most efficient way to clear your stones, and they sure do appreciate it. If there's any energy attached to these stones from anyone who's received that energy, I ask that it's released and returned to them with love. I'll let that kind of burn off just a little bit. Feels good. Okay. And because we opened a circle, we must, of course, release the guides and the guardians. That was a fast 2 hours. I'm going to say what? It went by really fast for me. I don't know if it went by fast for you, but it was actually just enough time for everything I wanted to do. There was nothing I didn't get to tonight from our curriculum. So this is Crystal Masters August. Are you excited about your tool for September, by the way? I'm so in love with the sphere. So enjoy that. We'll talk more about that in a second. So I want to release the guides and the guardians with so much gratitude tonight. Thank you to the guides and the guardians of the North for grounding, patience, stability, anchoring us, anchoring the flow of the energy tonight. So good. I'm so glad you guys like the class too. It's always tricky when I'm trying something, that I haven't taught before. So you guys were good sports. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And then I want to thank and release the guides and guardians of the West. We moved a lot of energy tonight, beautiful flow of energy, nice emotional releasing tonight too. You guys did a great job tonight, letting a lot of energies go and move through you. Giving thanks and releasing with gratitude. To the guides and the guardians of the South, we release you. Thank you for encouraging us on this path of transformation and change. We release you with gratitude. And to the guides and the guardians of the East, thank you for the breath of life and clarity, helping us to focus, but also to release any obstacles to clarity of our minds. And we thank and release you with gratitude too. And with that, we are done. And it was wonderful to be with you. I really, truly enjoyed our time together. Part of me wishes we could do it all over again. This is one of my favorite of our classes this year. Can you believe we've been doing this for 9 months? We only have October, November, and December left. But like I said, we have committed to keeping Crystal Masters going next year. So if you love it, this will still be here, and the format will probably be somewhat the same. Content will be completely different. I never teach the same thing twice. It's just my way. Because I have students who stay with me for a long time. So if I taught the same thing every year, they wouldn't come back. And some of them probably would, but most of them would not, so I don't blame them. I'm so glad. And if you ever missed anything, you can always go back and get the previous classes. You don't have to, but if you want to, you're always welcome to do that. So as I said in the beginning of the class, if there's anything you wanted, like maybe you didn't get an extractor needle and you wanted one, or we're giving you 20% off at sagegoddess.com. Do not tell anyone else. The code is Crystal20. It's a one-time code, and you can use it through midnight tomorrow. So you don't have to shop today if you don't want to. You can shop tomorrow. And if you don't need anything, great. And we will work on maybe finding buttons, which I think would be really cute. When I tell Brooklyn about buttons, because she was like, when we came up with the concept of bebops, she was like, bebop? And I'm like, yeah, bebop. So now if we tell her about buttons, she's going to be, first it was bebops, and now it's buttons. But they are kind of buttons, right? So good. All right, and thank you, Alexis, for being there. I'm glad I didn't ugly cry, but I really do miss you, and I will be so happy. Even if I don't get back to the office this fall, I'm hoping once the rates of virus decrease that I can at least have Alexis over to the house so that she can be here at some point. We'll see. That's my plan. All right, you guys, we'll see you soon. Thank you for being there tonight. I really appreciate your time and your attention and your focus and the work that you're doing in the world. I'm proud of you.